You are here because you want to learn something about WaaS, Windows as a Service, and how you can do it right and how you can do it wrong. I'll focus on the right bits, but I'll keep to the left from my side at least, because the lighting is obviously better here. So imagine that you are leasing a car. You have looked at this car for several years now. You have probably seen 1 or 2 reviews of it. You're paying a decent amount of money for it. And what you're expecting is probably the smell of a new car, the feeling of something you have been anticipating for a long time. And when you get this brand new car, everything feels fantastic. You have the new seats that you have been like going to the auto dealer and sitting down and feel, yeah, this is right for me. It smells good, it drives great. And when you lease the car, you signed up for a 3-year agreement. Everything is fine so far. After 6 months or so, things start to go wrong. And when you drive it down to your dealership and tell them that something isn't entirely correct with my car, you're greeted with, yeah, that's a policy we have. It should really, we know it's not working, but we won't fix it. Okay, fair deal. After 6 months, again, more things start to break. Apparently, your airbags doesn't work anymore. And it keeps going. Things break and break and break. You get lesser and lesser airbags. And 3 years in, and you want to exchange your car. And the dealer says, no, you have signed up for a 6-year agreement. And you keep going. And the car just gets worse and worse and worse. The seats that you love are now stained with, in my case, coffee, a bit of baby puke, and so on. This is how your PCs looks today with Windows 7. What you want is a leasing agreement that's 3 years long, or a bit more if you're pleased with the car. You will get it serviced when you decide to get it serviced, every 6 months if you like to. And not only do you get the same car that you have started to love when you leave it at your dealership, but you get an upgraded car, even better performance, even better seats, no stains, more airbags. That's how WaaS should be. This session is focused on IT pros. I had a similar session last year that was focused on IT managers. But you will learn a lot from this, even if you aren't a geek as I am. And when you leave this room, I hopefully will have told you what you need to do when you get back home. Not only to bring your users that amazing experience of Windows as a Service, as you could do it, but also I've given you the tools to really take the next step in your career if you like so. So I'll be discussing Windows as a Service, what it is, what it's not. I won't discuss what it used to be. And I'll tell you that you need both chaos and order to really make a difference. We are, in Sweden, we are particularly good at order, especially when we are in a line for coffee. And we need a bit of chaos in this. Perhaps spice it up a bit. Add some whatever to your coffee. Get someone else to add something to your coffee. And we'll discuss the importance of teamwork, because you can't do this alone. I'm a solution architect at Atea. I live in Linköping. When I talk about Linköping for foreign colleagues and so on, I usually describe it as the place where we make fighter jets and chocolate. I've previously had other roles in Atea, working with business development and so on, but at some point I realized that I felt that PowerShell was where I was supposed to be. I'm a Microsoft P-seller in plenty of areas, so when Microsoft needs a hand selling their solutions, their hardware, they come to me and I do my best to sell it for them. I've just started a Pluralsight as well, creating content. You can visit them up in the expo if you like afterwards. If you haven't looked at Pluralsight, I encourage you to do that. So I'll be starting creating content for them. I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer, working with Cornerstone AdSkills Global Knowledge, perhaps the longest company name in Sweden now. And they'll probably buy something more later on, and then we'll have even longer name. I'm also a penguin fanatic, and we will be discussing penguins later on. And I always bring my little friend over here. Feel free to go and say hello to him after the session. He could bite you, but as you see, he's a bit soft, so it won't hurt you that much at least. Johan may be hurt, but he's even softer than my penguin. And what was that? So, forget everything that we said last year, because apparently the names were wrong. It was complicated to understand what WaaS was. We had some issues with support time. We would be required to have several different releases running at the same time, which we will be required to have moving forward as well. But they changed all of that. So now, brand new, we have resetted everything, and even though I kind of liked the old names for the branches, the support agreements, the timings and so on makes much more sense now. So, I have some questions for you. I will be showing some numbers on the screens, and you will tell me what the number stands for, okay? And you are more than welcome to reply in Swedish. Three and 9. Exactly, release months. Or Full Creators Update was released in October. And I guess Redstone 4 will be released in April. Yeah, it's actually quite correct. It's when they are supposed to be finalized. That's when someone presses a button and says, this is the release we will go for. So now we have 2 releases each year, spring and fall. And hopefully we won't get a spring-fall creators updates. That would be a bit embarrassing. So we get 2 releases each year. And to be fair, servicing of operating system isn't new. It's new to Windows, it's new to Microsoft. It isn't new to Linux, Mac, Android, iOS, and so on. We are used to that kind of behavior. Next one, 4 and 6. Or 4 to 6. That's the time it usually will take for Microsoft to consider a new channel as broadly available. When a new operating system is released, it's now called Semi-Annual Channel Targeted Release. That's the old current branch. They wanted something longer, I guess. And when that's been out for 4 to 6 months, we get Semi-Annual Channel Broad. That's when Microsoft feel confident enough to let it out to all of you, to all of your users. That doesn't mean that you should wait 4 to 6 months to start deploying it, which we will come back to. And I forgot to say that the 3 and 9, that's also an alignment with Office Pro Plus as well. It's aligned with at least 2 of the 3 releases of Config Manager each year. And I'm quite certain that we will see an alignment with Windows Server soon as well. Okay, last one. The one who get this right get a wristband, or get the first one. As you can see, I have plenty. These have a feature. They are actually glow-in-the-dark ones. So later today, when you walk, run, crawl, get carried back to your room, you can use this to light up your way. 18. Great, you get a wristband. Oh, sorry, your colleague got one. 18 months from the release date until it's not supported anymore. This makes a lot more sense than the previous one, where you had 2 builds support, or kinda. Now we have 18 months from the first release of a new version of Windows 10. So in this case, Fall Creators Update was released 17th of October, and we will have 18 months of support from that date. Makes sense. It's a lot easier, and you know when you are supposed to be off that particular build. So you have 18 months to deploy each new build. And now people are starting to laugh. And I'm telling you that at some point, 18 months will seem like a very long time to deploy a new operating system. And then what? After 18 months, what do? We start all over again. And really, you should have started all over again a lot earlier than that, which I'll get back to. And this way, Microsoft will make it a lot easier for us to understand and manage Windows as a service. And in my opinion, the only ones that will be hurt by Windows as a service are people like myself, like Johan, like several of my colleagues and other consultants in the room. Because as many of you may know, previously every 3 to 5 years, you get a lot to do. And in some cases you need help. And in those cases, our account managers are like, yay, we got a new migration project that will run for 3 years and a bet, and cost a lot of money, take a lot of time, and so on. That's over now. The migrations me and my colleagues do now are the last ones we will make in quite a while. I'm still quite confident that we won't get a Windows 11. We'll keep going with Windows 10. It may change name to Windows. It may change name to Windows 365 or whatever, but we won't get a Windows 11. And we need to adopt to this model. Because what other options do we have? And when you leave this room, I'll also have told you why you want this. Because now it may feel scary. I understand that. That's quite normal. It's brand new. Penguins don't like new stuff either. Apart from a certain group of penguins from Madagascar. They want new stuff all the time. And apparently I'm also a penguin in some people's eyes, and I love new stuff. Hopefully tomorrow you can come to our booth and look at the new eye tracking device from Tobii. So you can game and write and stuff on your Windows 10 PC running version 1709 with your eyes. That's awesome. Playing asteroids with your eyes. So, that's basically WaaS for you. If you want to know more, you can go to Michael Niehaus' blog, Windows as a Service in a Nutshell. That will take you 1 minute to read. That's all you need to know. So, now the things you need to change. And what are those? I tell you. and nobody laughs. I've been working so hard with this slide. It's great. ITIL is probably one of the most boring things you can think about. Sorry if anyone of you loves it. It's a great thing. It's just a bit boring to me. I'm more of the chaotic kind. But it makes sense. To make Windows as a service work, we need processes. We need a bit of chaos, and we need a bit of order. And I don't care if you use ITIL or whatever other things out there. The thing that matters. Let the right people do the right thing at the right time with the mandate needed and in perfect harmony with all your users and penguins. And everyone will be happy. We'll go into more detail of some of this stuff later on. But the thing I want to point out now, anyone in the room that's an IT manager, a CIO or whatever? No. And apparently it's an IT Pro session, so I'm not that surprised. But last year I had an IT manager session and had I think it was like 90% IT Pros. So no IT managers. So you know what happens when you get an assignment and no one backs you up when you want to take it out to your users, right? You need to have someone backing you up on the way, or no one will care. It's IT. You should be over there doing your thing, make everything work, without any money, without any time, without any mandate to do anything. That needs to change. So, sorry. Let's get technical. I'll be doing a few demos. I call them a double cheeseburger of demos. We'll be focusing on the cheese and bacon, because you can't have a cheeseburger without bacon. And I'll be demoing some Windows Analytics, first of all, some Microsoft Intune, and some Config Manager. And we'll start with Windows Analytics, and then you get to choose what to look at next. Isn't that exciting? Yay! Great. So, Windows Analytics. How many of you know what that is? A few. Okay. This is something you need to look into. And I won't say need to use, but you really should use it. It will ease the migrations, ease the servicing a lot for you. And you'll get some other perks with it as well. So if I have an internet connection, I hopefully have that, or else we are in for a rough time. No, everything's good. There we go. And I know you don't see anything yet. Now you see it. Shortly. In a while. Any minute now. Hooray! And I'll also prove the point why you shouldn't run insider previews on your demo machines. Zoom it as well. I think we'll need that. So, this is Operations Management Suite, and really what's behind all these nice boxes are log analytics. So we have 3 different boxes that we'll look at today, and we begin with upgrade readiness, because that's, in my opinion, the most important one to look into when talking about Windows as a service. This is my small demo environment. I think that's actually counting it. No, down. Come on. It's not that small, to be honest. Come on. Ah. So what this is a way for you to look at all your devices, all your Windows devices. And to be completely transparent, you can't use this on Windows Phone. Is that a problem? No? I'll be telling my story later on, Johan. No worries. So, come on. So what you do, you run a small PowerShell script on your Windows 7 or Windows 8.1 machines. You'll also be able to control that on Windows 10 with MDM policies. But you need to activate a monitoring agent inside of your Windows machine and feed it a small private key that you will get from this solution. In return, you'll get access to your telemetry data. Telemetry in Windows 10 is essential to make this work. I know that some of you are working for organizations which, for different reasons, can't use telemetry, but if you can, do it. And this is a way for Microsoft to give you some of it back. Because that small little private key that you enter into your machines will make it possible for you, not for Microsoft, to identify your own telemetry data and add it to your OMS solution. This is turning out to be a very good day, because every single demo I'll do, apart from the Config Manager one, will require internet access. But we can always look at the PowerShell script. That's fun as well. I don't even think I have a picture of the solution. So the telemetry data that you need to upload is the basic one. Now you have 3 levels, so to say. You have off, which I encourage you not to use. You have basic, which I'll suggest you use, initially at least. That will send information to Microsoft about your clients. It will send information about drivers, applications, Windows versions, patch levels, and so on. It's not supposed to send any personal data. It will do that in some cases at the full telemetry level. That's another story. I'll get back to that later on. But it's usually by mistake in those cases. Apparently I now have internet access, so let's go inside that. So turn on telemetry level basic. And if you want to know exactly what's included in basic, there's a 156-minute long blog post stating it for basic. At Microsoft, you can get every piece of information you'll ever need on telemetry from them. Azure down? Not. You should know. So you upload the information. What's happened after that is that Microsoft will crunch the numbers, and in return you'll get a few diagrams, a few nice pictures, pie charts, and so on, stating exactly how many clients you have, what patch levels they are using, what Windows version they are on, what applications they run, what drivers they have, and what applications, what drivers are incompatible with the next build, or with Windows 10 if you go from Windows 7 or 8 to 10. So you don't need additional tools for that. That's something Microsoft will give you from your telemetry data. And this solution is completely free. It doesn't cost you a single krona to use this. You can start using it straight away. You need an Azure subscription, yes, but it won't cost you a thing. hopefully I'll be able to deliver a bit more fun demo when we are looking at the next product. So the data will also state whether there are known solutions to compatibility problems. So if an application, for some reason, are incompatible with the next build or Windows 10, you'll actually get information on how to make it compatible. Or when you need to go to your vendor and tell them, I want to go to Windows 10 and your solution doesn't support it. What should I do? Come on! Hooray! Have any of you had any discussions around telemetry data so far in your organizations? One? I like you. And you know about support for Windows. We can exchange places if you like. You really should, because you want to use this. Oh, hooray! My demo environment, or kinda, is up. In this particular environment, we have 5,000 computers. 102 is currently upgraded to Windows 10 version 1709. And no, this isn't an actual environment. This is actually demo data that you can use as well. You only flick a switch, and you get all this data in your solution. And then you can remove it, of course, when you add your own devices to it. So 5K computers, 102 upgraded. We have 32,000 applications. And that includes drivers and like every single version of Flash you could ever imagine. So the first step we do, identify important apps, and this is done for you. You can see what applications have low installation count. In this case, it's everyone. And low installation count means that it's less than 2% of the total numbers of computers that use them. In many of your environments, that number will probably be something like 90–80%. And then you should focus on the other percent, 10–20% that used on more than 2% of your environments when you do your initial testing. And we'll talk about more testing soon. There's also a few applications that's not reviewed. And in this case, you can also point out your most important applications. Of these 32,000 applications, we move a bit further to step 2, resolve issues. 44 applications have known issues from the data Microsoft have. And 8 of those actually have a fix available. 36 of them needs additional attention. Drivers, 32 drivers with known issues, and so on. Looking into the fix available, we'll get all the data we could ever ask for. Let's go for that one. Come on. Issue. You need to reinstall the application after upgrading from this build to the next one. But there's a fix available from the vendor, and no action is required for upgrade to proceed, but you will need to reinstall the application when the upgrade's done. This is a perfect use case for a task sequence driven upgrade. And you can go on and look at all your applications. So this tool is vital for when you upgrade from Windows 7 or 8 to 10, but then you'll use this for every single build upgrade as well. And you can keep track of your applications, you can keep track of your drivers, you can keep track of your progress. And the nice thing about this one, which I'll show you in the Config Manager demo, is that you actually can connect this to Config Manager and build collections based on this data. Even though I know that every single one of you loves building Config Manager queries. This one will do it for you. You're laughing. Queries is wonderful and a good way to spend a rainy day or whatever. So this is free. You can use it for as many devices as you like. And this is a way for you to use your telemetry data that you anyway will send to Microsoft. Hopefully. You also get access to update compliance. This is still in preview, which is basically what it says it is. How compliant are my machines? And by sending telemetry data, you are able, if you have an enterprise agreement or the equivalent E5, E3 licenses, to use device health. Device health is actually client monitoring, as we would like it to be. You'll get information about what drivers are crashing, what's causing blue screens, how many of our devices are affected by a driver that's not working, and so on. So device health will cost you enterprise licensing for Windows, but the other ones are completely free. And they are wonderful. So basic telemetry level, set up an Azure tenant. You don't need to use anything other in Azure other than this. You don't need to synchronize any accounts to it if you don't want to. You can use a native Azure account to log on to it. So this is a really easy way to get started with Azure and drive your migrations. Good. So, next up, you'll actually get to choose Intune or Config Manager. I'm not saying the other one is better than the other one. We'll come back to that later on. Who wants me to start with the Config Manager demo? And Intune.
While you have the internet connection.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. That's a good point. Let's go for the Intune one. And I think it was like 50-50 anyways. So the penguin will get to choose. So for Intune. And I'm not confident about this build, to be honest. I love the new Intune portal. And you know that they are actually closing the old Azure portal in like a few weeks. So if you have things still there, make sure to remove them and add them to the new one. So in Intune, we have the software update, Blade. It's an awesome name for an interface. And Windows 10 update rings. And this is a suggestion from my point. Something to build on at least. I've created a bunch of rings here. So first of all, SAC-T. What's that? That's exactly right. Semi-annual channel thingy. Targeted, semi-annual channel broad. I've created a first ring here, semi-annual channel targeted technical. That's where most of you should be. Testing things first of all. You should have a few insider PCs in your environment, or not in your environment, but at your site, running on your hardware that you can evaluate and test new features on. Because you'll need those 6 months of extra time where you have insider builds. But when we come to the technical ones, that's when you really should start testing your line of business applications, your hardware, new features that you would like to implement in your next servicing. I encourage you to add regular users to this group as well, because many of your users, or at least a part of them, are like you and me, geeks. They want to be on the edge. Those are the ones that are running like World of Warcraft on their work machines still. So I encourage you to actually have a discussion with some of your users that you feel would be a good person to have in that ring. The next one, and I will look into one of these rings first before I continue. So in each of these groups, we are able to decide what branch, and notice that they haven't updated this interface yet, so they are still saying CB and CBB. We choose what servicing branch these machines should be on. Should they be in the CB one or the CBB one? We decide if we should allow other Microsoft product updates coming in via Windows Update, if we should allow to update drivers. That's something that we'll see more and more of moving forward, especially with Autopilot. You get to choose how they are installed. Auto install at maintenance time in this case, and maintenance time is outside of active hours. So you could, of course, if you like to, moving forward with the other rings, split this. If you have people working 24/7, you can split this to have active hours anywhere, anytime you like. Then we have the quality update deferral period. Quality updates, that's Windows Update, the usual patch Tuesday patching. The things that will improve the quality of your build or your car. In this case, as soon as it is released, deploy it. We also have feature update deferral period. How long should we wait from a release until we start installing them on the machines? In this case, 0 days. As soon as it is released, push it down to the clients. And then we have delivery optimization download mode. This is something you need to look into what you should allow. In this case, to get this quick, and because they are the first computers that will get the new, come on, these are the first computers that will get this upgrade. I've chosen HTTP blended with internet peering. So you download it from HTTP, Windows Update, and you can also download it from other devices on the internet to improve the speed of the download. You could use any of these. They are quite obvious what they are. HTTP only Windows Update, peering behind same not. That's the one I've chosen for the rest. Internet peering across private networks, simple download mode, and bypass mode. I strongly advise you to use peering, even if you don't just use it behind the same router. So this is configured for each of these rings according to your requirements. My suggestion is that you have a technical one that's done instantly. I have a second one for compatibility that we will talk more about in the Configuration Manager demo, which defers feature updates for 1 month to get rid of the worst things, and it defers quality updates for a week. When we have semi-annual channel broadly, we'll push that instantly to the first ring. We'll wait an additional 30 days for feature updates and a week for quality for current branch for business. We also have compatibility issues. That's the group where you put all the users that have applications that doesn't work for some reason. And in this case, you know that now you know that it takes 4 to 6 months for it to go from targeted to broad. You have an additional 180 days in this group to solve these issues that may occur. So you have plenty of time, not 18 months in this case. But you can also put into this that even though it should push down the upgrade after 180 days, it won't be allowed to install it until the user says so. But this would give you plenty of time. And using Intune, you'll probably be using Windows Update things for drivers and so on, which will make it easier for you I also have this self-service deferred. This is something I encourage you to have as well. Some of your users will want you to do the complete opposite of the geeks. They want to be the last one to get the new things. And I've created a small PowerShell script for this that will enable you to use the My Apps page. How many of you know what My Apps? Yeah, a few of you. This is basically a way for you to get single sign-on to a lot of your applications, and also enables you with Azure AD Premium to have self-service group management. So in this case, I'm logged on as a user. I've found my self-service defer group and I want to join it. I need to justify why I should join this group, because Windows Phone rules, request, and that's a valid reason. I probably forced me to log on again. So not so valid reason apparently. Join group. Self-service. Join. Rules. Request. Auto approved, of course. And that means that my user is now inside of that particular group. But for this to work, we need to add the devices that belong to this particular user to the group as well. So what the script does is that it connects to Azure AD, looks into the group, finds the users, asks Intune for devices, Windows devices owned by these users, adds the devices to the group. So we'll run it. This is actually a brilliant thing. We get a nice little authentication window. And this supports multi-factor authentication as well, which I've had to remove from this account for a reason I won't discuss here, but we can discuss it over a beer later on. I'll log on. And that's it. If we now get Azure AD group member, and I know it's small, I'll soon group. It will give me 1 user and 4 devices. Oh, yeah, the question is, do you schedule it? Yeah, you can do that. You can do it manually, but I would probably advise you to schedule it. So now I have my user and that user's 4 Windows devices. Another function in the script is that when a user decides to leave the group, it will leave the devices because the user can't remove them by himself. So the script will also look at what devices in the group belongs to users in that group and compare that to all the devices that's currently in the group and remove the devices that doesn't have its owner in the group. In that way, you will be able to self-service yourself to either defer upgrades or get upgrades just as anyone else. And something I want to emphasize with this is PowerShell and Intune. You can do these amazing things with Azure solutions and with Intune in particular now. Moving on. And I didn't say that, sorry, you will get a few minutes to ask questions later on, but if you have any questions, just feel free to. Yeah, so the question is, are there devices required to be joined to an Azure AD? They doesn't have to be. You can control them only by using the MDM, only the MDM parts of Intune. But now you're actually able to join a device both to AD and Azure AD. So I would encourage you to join them to Azure AD. But it's not required. So looking at Config Manager, let's start with the monitoring part. The upgraded readiness that we looked at previously, it's now in Config Manager. This is the latest technical preview. So in Config Manager, you have this wonderful little dashboard, which in my environment includes 0 machines. But it doesn't really matter. Because what you can do, you can look at collections. In what collection should I retrieve data to get information about their upgrade readiness? But even better, you can also create collections from this data. So you can create a ready to upgrade collection with a press of a button. And those collections will end up here. Cannot upgrade in all systems. I actually haven't changed the name of it. You should never limit a collection to all systems. You need to limit a few to it, but then try to limit your other collections to a collection just below all systems for performance reasons, mainly when you upgrade or update a collection. So this one cannot upgrade. Those are the machines that have applications with compatibility issues. And I'm using this in my upgrade rings that I'll show you shortly. And we also have a ready to upgrade. These devices, all good, all drivers are good, all applications are good. Let's go ahead and upgrade them. The question is, does these affect the Intune ones? We'll get back to that shortly. Window servicing. This is also a way that you could create your rings. We could discuss this for ages, and I'm more than happy to do that. I'll be in our booth for the entire conference and also at the Ask Me Anything thingy at Microsoft. So in this case, I have an insider ring, I have a technical ring, I have a compatibility ring. Compatibility in this case should include, and that's the same for Intune, but in Config Manager at the moment it's a bit easier. The compatibility ring should include machines that run every single application that you want to know things about in your organization. So basically, at least one machine running each app you have deployed in your environment. It should include machines that are in every single OU that you have where you want to apply group policy. It should include machines in all of your geographic locations and from all your network segments. And of course, one single machine could achieve more than one of these requirements. In my experience, that will mean about 10 to 15% of your total number of machines. That's my ongoing project now, to create that query for you. I'm almost there, but I wasn't able to complete it to the conference, so I'll be posting that to my blog later on. But that's basically what you should start with. These devices should be upgraded as soon as you feel confident to do that. And that will give you a good baseline on how to proceed. General availability. When the compatibility one seems all good, you move forward. This could be early in the process and it could be later in the process. So either closer to the end of semi-annual channel release targeted, or in the beginning, depending on your environment. But when you feel confident enough to let the new wonderful Windows release out, you make it generally available. Anyone could install the new build by Software Center or any other kind of self-service solution. And then when you feel that it's time to roll it out in the broad release, you create as many rings as you need and want. A very good resource for this is David Das Neves' blog. He's a Microsoft Premier Field Engineer from Germany. He's done an amazing job in documenting this. I think it's powerintheshell.com. You can ask me or Google him. Don't Bing it. You won't find that much. But he has a great many resources on this that you can get inspiration from. And then we have a self-service deferred here as well, and a deferred one. And this one includes membership rules, cannot upgrade in all systems. Makes sense. We have a collection that we could add to a defer collection, which means that you also could add your other machines to that as well, and make it a bit more dynamic. This is one way to do it, and I'm more than happy to help you and discuss this to make it suit your organization. It's been working fine the entire day. Thank you. And now when we have looked at Intune, Config Manager, Windows Analytics, and we also have looked at some PowerShell, and I know that you have one more session before you are allowed to drink beer if you want and like to, but just remember, don't drink and elevate. That's an important quote for the rest of the evening. It doesn't apply to Johan. He's better elevated when drinking. A few things to take with you. You can't do this alone. Like I said, you need to have a process for this to work. You need to get help from other areas of your organization. And we'll have a small quiz now. I'll show you some pictures of parts of your organization that you need to work together with. And you'll tell me what part of your organization that is. It will make sense soon. What job do you think this guy have? Almost. He's a project manager. Because it's vital that you are in your migration project from whatever you have today to Windows 10, plans for the Windows as a Service process implementation. That's something he should be on top of. What's her job?
Boss lady.
Almost. No, she's actually working with IT service management, because we need processes. Lots of these tests you will do with your applications, that will feel like chaos to start with, but a good chaos, the chaos your children creates at home, the chaos you love to get home to. And she will bring a bit more order to the chaos. What are these?
Penguins.
Yes, that's absolutely right. Emperor penguins. But in this case, it's users. Because it's vital to get the users on board. Penguins doesn't like change, but they like change if they get food. It's basically the same thing with users. If they can get something out of Windows as a Service, they will gladly follow you. Or me, I'm the big one in the middle. And if the users see that, yeah, if I follow that penguin, he will give me the best shrimps ever, they will gladly upgrade their PC if they get something in return. This is the most apparent one, I guess. Developers, you need to work with your ISVs, your internal developers, to make them understand how things are changing. And that you need their help. They need to build applications that supports Windows as a Service. Now we get to the bosses. Managers in all your organizations need to understand that this is a major change that needs to happen, and that they need to give you the resources, the time, and the mandate to make these changes. Or you could as well go and run Ubuntu or Hannah Montana Linux or whatever you like. That's an actual Linux distribution.
Really?
Yeah, it is. I promise you can Bing it, because that's where you'll find it. So you need to have the discussion with your entire organization to make this work, because it will affect every single one. And why would you want to do this? First and foremost, this is a question of security. With this Windows as a Service, you will get more updated machines with the latest security features at your fingertips. And you know, if you tell your managers that this will ensure that we don't get any cryptowares, they will gladly pay you to do that. And did you actually see that they now have integrated cryptoware protection in Windows? So it won't be able to write and encrypt your files in the folders that you point out. That's freaking awesome. Compatibility. This is actually a way to make things more compatible. How you do that is up to you. Don't choose one way to make your applications work. Combine them. Upgrade some, exchange some, virtualize some applications, app-ifiate applications. That's the worst word today, I guess. Do web-based applications. Anything you can do to make the trip easier. You have so many tools, use them all. You'll get new features and functions. And even more importantly, you'll get fixes quicker. If something's broken in Windows, you won't need to wait 3 years to the next release. You'll get a fix quite soon. I'm actually going to skip this one. I'll be staying for, like I said, the entire conference. You are more than welcome to ask questions later on, but I want you to have your time between sessions as well. So, Windows as a Service. It's not hard. It's challenging, because we need to change the way we look at managing Windows. Some things will feel hard, but the technology behind this, it's super easy. It's not that hard at all. It's still Config Manager, it's still Intune, it's still AD, and so on. And going back to your question about Intune and Config Manager, now with 1709, we can actually combine Intune and Config Manager. So we can actually let Intune manage Windows as a Service and Config Manager to manage everything else, if we want to manage one single device with both. We can also manage some machines with Config Manager and some with Intune. That's up to you. But we can't do it both at once. It's a user-centric approach that will create success in this. You need to talk to your users, find out what they would like from Windows as a Service, and implement that, and make the upgrade process as smooth and user-friendly as possible. I'm also working on some tools for that, and there are a bunch of good tools for that out already. And this is vital. We have talked about PowerShell being essential for years now. This is also vital. Not Windows as a Service as is, but the change of mindset. Focus on soft skills, understand your organization. That's vital for us to have a job in a few years. We need to have a revolution. This is not only a change, it's a revolution. If you want to look at something inspiring, just as this session has been, look at Chris Jackson's session from Ignite this year around application compatibility. His title is actually Chief Awesomeologist at Microsoft. That's something I would like. Thank you for being here. I'm more than happy to answer all your questions, either now, up in our booth, or at the Microsoft booth. I wish you all the best. Thank you for listening, and please evaluate the session. Thank you.